Frank, and now I'll continue this parody spoof of Dragon's Lair with this skull, and this will just be a decoration that I'll have sitting in the room that I'm working on, which is right here, and I have the doors being built. I probably shouldn't put the skull in this room, but it'll just be like a decoration for another room. But I'll just test it out and see what it looks like in this one. So the first thing I'll do here with the skull is, because it's like a background object in this particular situation, let's see, what I'll do is just make this shaded. So I have to select this tool here, select that, and then select invert, and now I could shade in there without going outside the lines. And that's done with the select by color tool, and this program is called GIMP. Alright, so now that I have that, I have to just pick the right brush, which is a shade brush, although I'm interested in seeing what this brush does. So now that I have it, let's see what happens. Yeah, that's kind of neat. I should use brushes like this more often. But see how it stays inside the lines? That tool's like really useful. And on this skull, the light source is on the left side, so that's why I have this right side in shadow. And then because I want it to look more like a background object, I'll adjust the lines so it's not so cartoony. I'll make it look a little less cartoony through the shading. Alright, so now that I have that done, that looks pretty decent. I'll do a couple filters maybe. Let's see, I'll do the dilate, get rid of some of those lines. It'll reduce them. Then I'll do contrast, which is one of my favorite options. I don't want the background object to stand out too much, so what I'll do is go under brightness again, and I want the darks to be a little brighter, but I don't want so much contrast that it really stands out too much. Just kind of blend in. And I noticed on a lot of these background objects in like a cartoon, for the painted background is more of a lighter tone to it. So one thing I'll do is see what I can do with the color balance and just change the color a little bit. Maybe something like that. And then the highlight. I guess that's okay. And then I'll just overwrite that and then pull that into the drawing, the scene, so I could exit out of there. Now I can hide that program and just take this skull, and before I do that, I'll pick where I want it to be dropped, and that'll be the back corner in between the door and the wall here maybe. I think I'll put coins over there, but I'm just going to see what the skull looks like. So now I have to drag that skull over here. Oh, see, I have to bring it forward. And then I have to actually bring it forward even more. Right about there. So that would be shrunk down to there. Then I'll rotate it so it's like sitting on the ground. And this just gives the picture a little more personality. And then I'm on frame 0, that's a problem. So I have to go to frame 0, create a group, because I want more than one skull. And then I could just rename it Skulls, unrelated to the Metal Gear Solid games where the skulls, I think it was the skulls, they are like the bad guys and they have all these special powers. In the Metal Gear Solid 5, that they were like super challenging to try to get around. They were always attacking in the worst moment, and they were invincible, so that made it pretty frustrating. Only towards a certain point did they become more vulnerable. Alright, so that would be a skull there, and then I could have another one behind it, but I don't want it exactly the same, so I have to adjust it a little and just rotate it up and maybe put it like that. That looks kind of cool. And then I'll see how this looks. When I move it, it's going to be a little weird because the scene's going to shift. So one way to test it out, actually I should have done that on frame 1 instead of 0 for the setup. Alright, so I have to find out where that other skull is, and of course it's right behind the other one. So I'll just rotate it and then pull it up a little like where it was. And that's good enough. But non-animated objects, usually the backgrounds have a lot more detail. I actually did a lot of more realism for these bricks, a lot more detail, and I saw it and it just looked way too detailed for the style I'm going for. So with these bricks here, I've determined that simpler is better in this situation. So now that I have that, I have to make sure the skulls move with the scene properly. So let's see. It looks like they're doing pretty good there. They're moving a little too fast though. Alright, so that means I have to go adjust them. And I think I'll adjust them to what the background wall is, which is 1, -1. So I'll just copy the -1 and then I'll go to the skull layer. Then I'll piece that in there, and this is on the translate layer tool. Now that they're at -1, it looks like they go further back, but it actually slows down the the speed. If you want the scaling to be at the center, you just go to this tool here, set origin, and just click on the center. So now you can scale it right there instead of way off, based on where the folder is. Alright, so now that I have that, let's see what it does. It should stay basically in the same spot. Looks like it's actually moving left a little, because it starts there. Oh wait, That's right. The wall kind of shifts. The wall itself. I wonder what layer I have that wall set at. This wall here. The doors, they are not fully set up, but they can do that. And I'm just gonna roll the doors down instead of up in this particular situation, and just to keep it more of a parody, because normally you expect those doors to go up, but I'm gonna push them down. Alright, and then with this, now that I have that back right wall, let's see what that's set at, because it shouldn't be moving quite so much. Let's see. In other words, when the wall moves, you could see it actually looks like it's shifting a little too far. Because look at the size of this, see? There's a crease now. That means the wall is moving too much, and if I look at the origin, it's set to 0. Not the origin, the translate layers, z-axis set to 0. So to resolve that, maybe I could do -1 and see what happens. I don't know. The reason it's moving is because it's not aligned with this. I'll see what happens. Let me save it first. See, when I go -1, look what happened. The whole wall shifted. So let me just see what happens here when I move it, and then I'll go from there. Maybe something like that, and then pull this in here, and now let me see what happens before I adjust the door itself, which is right there. Actually, let me see what happens with the door, because I have to do that too. So I'll just pull that over here a little, back to where it was. I probably didn't have to adjust the scale. Alright, and then I'd say that's okay. You widen that up a little. And now let's see how badly affected that is. Oh yeah, that's messed up. See how the wall in back is actually moving behind it now? That's really messed up. Like right here, you can see this wall here is pushing to the right behind this wall. So that means where it was in the beginning was much better. And I did look for a polygon option, and there's something in scripts, draw polygon, but it only creates like a this or this or this, and then if you go to 100, which is the limit, it creates a circle. But I don't need any of that. I was looking for like a cube that was already set, and then I would just assign it this texture, and then I'd have a perfect wall. Since I don't think there's a way I can move in 3D space here. Oh, actually there is. This tool here. pan tilt camera. I think, no, that's not it. Maybe this is it. Orbit, yeah, that's probably it. Orbit would allow me to, oh yeah, there it is. Wow, that's so cool. Wow, that lower floor is all distorted. But yeah, that gives you an idea of the 3D space you could have your character within. And that's kind of cool. You could zoom in and then I guess that's how I could build it, and then just go at right angles and go from there. So maybe I'll redo this and try that technique. I'd have a more consistent result. But because I didn't like the results there, I'll just open that last file I had saved. And that's why it's good to save often. So that's just about it for now. As you can see, I added the doors, and I have to add a few more things. But thanks for watching. Feel free to comment, subscribe, and like and share. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments section. I'll see if I can answer. But this I'll probably, well, I guess they could render it out really quick. But his walk, I think, is going to be a little different. He's not just going to walk to the other side of the room. And I think I'll have Daphne in here. Wow, that is messed up on the side there because I adjusted the scale of this wall here. So I just have to rescale that wall a little bit more. Maybe like that. Hi again, this is Frank, and thanks for joining me. I just want to do a quick test of this tool here in the Animate Studio Pro 8. And this tool here is called the Orbit tool. I want to create a room that's like a perfect square. So what I'll do is I'll just click on that, and then it'll show me the dimensions of it in 3D space. And to get back to your old view with the camera, you just reset it, reset view up here. But let's get back to this, and I want to create a wall, like a block. So the way I'll do that, let me see, I'll orbit this way. Now I want this here to rotate, so I have to adjust the rotation of it. And I think that happens with the Z-axis. So let's say I do 1. It moves it out here. Now to rotate it, let's say I do 90 degrees. Let's see what happened there. Oh, it moved it that way, okay. So I didn't need it rotated like that. So it's just rotating that. Maybe this will rotate. Oh no, that's not gonna. So this tool here is where I would get the rotation. So 90 degrees here. There we go. I got it. This is like what I was looking for, but the positioning of it's weird. Oh, okay. Well, as long as that stays consistent there, that's the key. I think it's always trying to make it visible, so that's what's happening there. But I should be able to move it perfectly over here to the corner. And then let's see how this looks. I would look at it from that angle. So there's a little gap there. I'll move that up a little bit and then position that a little better. Now I'll duplicate it, pull that over there, and then I have to create the floor. But before I do that, let me get over here, see what this looks like. Pull this down a little bit further over here, maybe back a little just so there's space. And then, oh wow, how did it get it way up there? I don't know why it moved that height. Maybe I go to 0? No. Maybe this is it. The Y is the height. There it is. So this one here, height of 0, there it is. See, I'm starting to get it now. So I think this is what I'm looking for. Yeah, that should be really cool. Then I'll have to put the doors there and the other objects within that 3D space. But this is so much more consistent, hopefully, than the other method I have. So next thing I have to do is the floor. So I'll create this layer here for the floor. I'll put it underneath. And then I have to rotate it so it goes horizontally. So that would be this tool. Y, I'll do, let's say 90 degrees. See, that didn't work. So go back to 0, and this should be 90 degrees. Let's see what happened. There it is. There's the floor. Wow, it's working out pretty cool. I never used this tool before until today, really. I looked at it, but I never actually tried it with 3D space more than, like, this is in the very beginning. So that's going to really help out a lot. I don't have to worry about aligning all the dimensions artificially. I actually have it built to where I want it. At least I think it's going to work, but it looks a little weird as I scroll back there. Only because see how that is supposed to be invisible? There's got to be a tool for that in the options, so it's not always visible. So if I reset the view, then move with my camera, this is the real test, and I have to do the ceiling. So let me just do that right now. Pull that ceiling up to there, and let me see what happens here. Alright, so I'll be zoomed in. Yeah, it works. Holy crow. That's awesome. That is so cool. That's what I wanted. And it's not shifting. Like if you look here, in my old scene, the whole thing was shifting awkwardly. But this is perfect. Wow, that's so cool. So I'll put Dirk in this scene, and I'll have him walk, but I have to build the scene up. So that would include the doors. Pull the doors in there. Now I have to do all that again in 3D space. So this door here, I want it in front of that one. And then I want to scale the door down a little, and then move it right about there. Let's see what happens. Wow, that's like right on line where it should be. Pretty much. Yeah, that works. But yeah, Animate Studio Pro is probably my favorite animation program of all time for 2D cutout style puppet animation. cell shaded animation. I used to work with a program called Toon Boon, and that was really challenging to learn on the version that I had on my old computer. And then before that, I had on my very old computer the cell shaded Disney animation program, and that probably was the best for cell animation, based on the way they set it up. But let me get back to these doors here. So I'll create another door. I'll pull this door over here. Let me go into 3D space. See, the ceiling's weird looking. Where's the ceiling in this position? Oh, there it is. So it's at the right spot. But this door here, let me get it over here on the right side here, and then I'll pull it to the right positioning. So I have to look at this and get it to that position. So this piece here is the way it is there. I have to copy these properties to the door. So I'll do that. Then I'll go back to this. That's 0. I have to go to Z and copy that. Then I'll go here, put this at 0, put that at that. Then I have to go here again, go to this tool here and do 90 over there for this. So I'm still on that tool with the door. 90, there it is, lined up. Alright. So I'll go here, I'll reset view, I'm back inside, and the door is in the wrong spot. So let me just adjust that, and then I'll affect the scale as I need it. So the door, I'll move it back this way. I'll move it down to ground level, which will be right about here, and then I'll check the, oh, I didn't want to do that. I'll check the positioning of it. That looks good. Now I'll reset the view. Oh, see, the door is too wide. It's too far back too. I mean, sorry, too far forward for the scene. Alright, so I'll pull the door further to the left, maybe right about there. Let's see what that looks like. I think I need to pull it down a little. Maybe like that. Reset view. Yeah, that door looks a little weird. See, right about there. So now if I move my camera, let's see, how's that look? Yeah, that's pretty good. I like it. Small room because I have the original texture pretty small. But that works, so I'll duplicate that door. I'll pull that over here to the left. I'll visually line it up right about there. Right about there. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, that works. Awesome. So there's my little scene starting to build together. Next thing I'll do is add the character, the spoof character Lurk. This time I'll do the away animation just to show something a little different. And let me zoom down to the point of view I want, and then I'll scale him down to, let's say, about there with the doors. And let's say he's walking in. That would be a little trickier. I'll just have him stay in one spot for now, just to simplify it. So maybe he'll be right about here. So if I rotate the camera, see how he shifts like that? That means he's on the wrong Z scale. So I have to go to this tool here. No, that's not right. I have to go to this tool, the transform tool, and actually maybe I could go into here in this space and adjust it. I don't know. Let's see what that would look like. So if I moved him here in 3D space, let's see what that looks like. Then I'd have to move him up. This looks a little tricky. I don't know if this is going to work. He looks way too giant. You have to get him down to the scale of the doors so he can fit through theoretically. Now I'll go here, reset view. See if that worked. No, that didn't work. I mean, it sort of worked. No, it didn't work. Alright, so the solution for figuring out his space is to go here and then let's say -1. Let's see what happens. And then I'll scale him up. I think it's probably going to be +1. Yeah, that's not right. Wow, that looked weird. These look like PS1 graphics with the walls. The PS1, PlayStation 1. Alright, so looking at this character, -1 was not the right path. I'll go to 1 and just position him like that, right about center. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, that's much better. He's staying with the position that he's at with the bricks more consistently. Yeah, that works. That's it. Alright, so I'll just do a little quick animation of him standing there. And then I'll loop that to frame 1, cycle 1, okay. It loops it. So he'll be going like that. And I animated that. I just added these actions so I didn't have to reanimate everything separately every single time. So look at all the time I just saved. Alright, so now that I have that, I want to animate the camera. So here I am here, but I want to be here when I start. So I'll start it here, and by frame, let's say 10 seconds or 9 seconds, I'll be over here. So there we go. And let's see how that looks. So that I go to 2:16 for the end. But let me press play. This is really choppy, but it gives you an idea. And to smooth that out, go under this tool here, go to linear, and then go here and go linear to not smooth it out, but to make it more constant motion. So the camera's constantly moving, it's not slowing down or anything like that. Alright, so that's it. I'll render that.